BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Hello and welcome to the Scottish Football Podcast, your easily digestible daily dose of news, views and analysis. It's Wednesday, the 13th of March. I'm Phil Goodlad and here's what's coming up today.
I want to be in a position where I've got to make difficult decisions, and the better the boys are doing at their clubs, the more difficult it is for me to make the selections.
What does Steve Clarke's Scotland squad selection tell us ahead of Euro 2024? Also, it's a big night at the foot of the Premiership.
McGrath deflection, goal! Aberdeen have the 2-goal advantage back.
Bogic has slipped here, allowed Jordan White in, and Jordan White rolls the ball into the back of the net.
Can Ross County close the gap on managerless Aberdeen? And
whipped in into the near post, and it's in. Ewan Murray, and out of nothing really, Raith Rovers hit the front.
Raith win again. Just how important could last night's result be in the Championship title race?
This is the Scottish Football Podcast from BBC Sport Scotland.
Great to have your company today. I'm joined by Steve McGinn, the Falkirk captain, and Lee Miller, the former Falkirk Hearts, Aberdeen and Scotland striker. Gentlemen, good day to you both.
How are you doing, Phil? Okay?
I'm good. We spoke a couple of weeks ago. It feels like a lifetime ago in Scottish football. And here we go again tonight for Aberdeen and Ross County. I almost feel sorry for Dundee and Hibs because the focus, and even to a certain extent Ross County, because Lee Miller, the focus once again is on all things at Pittodrie.
Yeah, it is, obviously, because of such a roller coaster season, and at the weekend there, obviously losing Neil Warnock and getting the result as well up at Pittodrie, and it's their first win in, I think it's about 6 games or something like that. They've not had a great run at all, and losing their manager, I don't know if that'll be a boost for them going into the game tonight against Dundee. And Dundee are in good form as well. Tony Docherty's done a fantastic job there, and I think, like you say, it goes a little bit unnoticed because all the antics that are happening at Pittodrie, but it should be an interesting game, a really interesting game tonight.
I like that description, the antics at Pittodrie. Stephen, we'll come to that in just a moment. Firstly, let's take a whirl around the latest Scottish football headlines. Raith Rovers moved back to within a point of Championship leaders Dundee United after a hard-fought 1-0 win at third-place Partick Thistle. Aberdeen's caretaker boss Peter Leven is asking his players to replicate their cup form in the league as they travel to take on Dundee tonight. Meanwhile, interim Ross County boss Don Cowie says he faces big decisions with some key players returning to the squad. This ahead of their crucial home match with Hibs. Brendan Rodgers has revealed that bulking up has been the key factor in Nicholas Kuhn's improvement at Celtic. And Scotland manager Steve Clarke says he wants tough selections to make in his Euro 2024 squad. This after recalling the 41-year-old keeper Craig Gordon for this month's friendlies against the Netherlands and Northern Ireland. Stephen, we'll start at Firhill. Another huge game in the Championship last night. Do you enjoy watching from afar the top teams in that division slugging it out, knowing that you'll come up maybe against one or both of them next season?
Yeah, a bit of that. Probably a bit of knowing what it feels like in terms of that title race and how important it is to win. When I was watching last night, I felt, Partick Thistle were the better side on the night. They couldn't get over the line. I was just thinking as the game was going on, this is exactly the type of result that Raith need. I think in commentary last night, it was since the 16th win by 1 goal, but I think it was the manner of last night. It wasn't losing a goal and then scoring 2 late ones, or as I say, proper outscoring a team 3-2. It was a 1-0. It was a dig in. It was a defend your box and then defend your box again. They get a bit lucky with the one that comes off the inside of the post at the end, but I think the message within that Raith dressing room is, we can do that one. This is a game as it go to the wire. Dun United look across at them and say, yeah, but if it goes 1-0 at places like Firhill with 10-15 minutes to go, they'll concede one. Well, they didn't last night, and I think it's an important statement they made last night in terms of we're in this.
I love the fact you didn't correct me when I said you're watching these two teams knowing you'll come up against one or both of them next season? I mean, I know that you're a million points ahead in League One, but you already think that the promotion's in the bag. I like that. And I'm not going to give you time to correct me after I've said that. Lee Miller, that was a win last night that struck me as it doesn't matter how we get the job done at this stage of the season, it's just about getting 3 points.
100%. We've all been involved in games that you're 1-0 for so long and not playing particularly well and backs against the wall and defending, and one mistake can let them back in it, and then it's a case of it's panic stations. But it didn't look like panic stations last night. It was a very controlled defensive team. The way they played, like Stephen says there, they defended the first ball, defended the second ball. They showed a real steel to their team last night. They were solid throughout, and you see the depth in their squad, being able to bring like Shawnee Byrne on and other players like that. They've got a real depth in their squad, and Ian Murray's been able to kind of tweak it and change it. And no, they've got a real good togetherness, it looked like last night, and I think that's, like Stephen said, it's a real statement of intent in terms of their title challenge.
Let's head into the Premiership. Big night tonight. Lee Miller, was it you that referred to the Aberdeen situation as a circus? And if it was, Peter Leven now is the ringmaster. I mean, penny for his thoughts going into this game against Dundee.
I understand, back when we spoke about it when Neil Warnock got appointed, I understand why they appointed him. It was a big name. It was probably what the fans wanted. But I just didn't understand why they just didn't leave Peter Leven in charge and get their man that they were definitely going to go forward with.
Was the suggestion, sorry to interrupt, was the suggestion not though that Peter Leven didn't want the job and that's why they got an interim boss in?
Yeah, possibly. I don't know the ins and outs of that, but for him to be in charge for I don't know how many weeks or if it was to the end of the season, so that Aberdeen got it right, it now looks like I said, like a circus. It's really backfired on them in terms of it looked as if Neil Warnock, and he kept saying it as if I'm not up here for a holiday, I'm not here for a jolly up, but it did kind of get a bit farcical, which was disappointing looking up at Aberdeen and watching the fans and their reactions and stuff, and obviously the results weren't great at all. So Peter Leven's got a big job in his hands, but it can only be nice and calm and just organise them, make them organised and hard to beat. Start with the basics first and then hopefully get a few results along the way.
Steve McGinn, there's been an element watching from afar with Aberdeen this season of slight disbelief in the fact that, and bear with me when I try and flesh this point out and not offend every football club in Scotland here, but there was a period 30 odd years ago when Fergus McCann came into Celtic that Celtic was just, crumbling. There was a period through Rangers' financial troubles and down the divisions, and then they came up, and then they went through that period where they were firing off a statement every week, and it was incendiary, and the world was against them. Hibs and Hearts have had their problems to seek over the years as well with how the club has been run. Aberdeen has always seemed to be a stable club run well. I'm sure fans would say, can the chairman not just put in a wee bit more money and let's see what we can do? But by and large, it's been the stable club of Scottish football. Well, that's gone now.
Yeah, well, a big part of that was Stuart Milne. Stuart Milne ran the club and behind the scenes, but I would say that from the outside looking in, the managers always ran the football club. It's easy to point to the Derek McInnes era. It seemed they worked together. Stuart Milne totally trusted Derek to run the football department, and they were so strong, so competitive at the top end of the league for such a long period. And I probably, having worked with Derek in the meantime, I know how good he is at running the football club, and I watch what's happening at Kilmarnock. Billy Bowie the same. They're running the club in the background. They're putting up the money, and Derek's running the football department. Whereas at Aberdeen, you just feel as if there's obviously Dave wants a big say in the running the football club. He is putting the money up. It's something you can never accuse him of not putting the money in. But as the manager running the full football department, because someone like Neil Warnock coming in. Neil Warnock is an old school football manager. Wants to run the football club. And the type of appointment when they did, having not a great deal of experience, I know he's been up to games, but doesn't really know the leagues and what the teams are like. giving it to him, sacking Barry Robson so late in the window and bringing Neil Warnock in, it's almost like, what are you expecting here? What is going to happen? But at some point, I think the next appointment's got to be a really strong, experienced manager that just says, no, look, right, okay, you think I'm the best man for the job, let me run everything. Let me run everything and I'll get this going again. From the Peter Leven point of view, Peter Leven's his job is he's fresh, he's back in again, just back to basics. The narrative we'll all be pushing is if Ross County and Dundee win, Ross County are only a point behind Aberdeen. But if Ross County and Aberdeen win tonight, Aberdeen are only 4 points behind the top six. So that's the fresh ideas, that's the way he's got to put it to the Aberdeen team. And
fine margins, isn't it?
Such a tight league. I mean, look at Lee and myself get connections with Motherwell. It's been tough for long spells this season, and all of a sudden in the top six race.
I'm doing Good Morning Scotland today, and I heard Angus MacDonald, the Aberdeen defender, speak about the next two games, how important it is for Aberdeen's pursuit of a top six spot, and I almost rubbed my head thinking, oh yeah, of course Aberdeen could make the top six. Lee Miller, here we are focusing on Aberdeen, and I can hear Dundee fans marching towards Pacific Quay here in Glasgow saying, come on BBC, there's two teams tonight. If you take away Hearts under Stevie Naismith this season and Kilmarnock under Derek McInnes, surely the man and team of the season is Tony Docherty at Dundee.
Yeah, the things that he's done at that club, for it being his first job as solely the manager. Obviously, he's been in a lot of clubs and he's always been in the shadow of Derek McInnes. And I've worked under Tony Docherty, and I'm sure you have as well, Stephen. He's fantastic. He's such a good coach, and he's a thorough technician in terms of getting his teams organised, understanding shapes, tweaking it within games. You can see his stamp on his team, and they all know what they're doing, and they're all well drilled, and he's done a fantastic job at Dundee, and long may it continue. I've got a lot of time for Tony, and he's doing remarkable things up there. So
listen, it's Dundee Aberdeen tonight live on Sportsound. We also have Hibs up in Dingwall to take Ross County. You've already spoken about how big a game it is for County and Aberdeen. Hibs ran out 2-0 winners against Ross County just 10 days ago, 11 days ago now. Very different proposition going up the A9 on a Wednesday night, knowing that you're coming up against a team who are scrapping for their lives. Hibs won't fancy this tonight.
Yeah, well, that's what they'll be. That's what Ross County will try and make it. They'll try and make it a game where they play in Hibs' half, get it up to Jordan White and Simon Murray, and try and play the game in their terms. But I do think Hibs have improved. I think they've, since the January window, with the investment that's come in, they've definitely raised the level of play at the club. And I think it's a type of game, Ross County, where they've struggled at times this season. It's been defensive issues, leaking too many goals, giving away too many chances, and I think the quality Hibs now have in the forward areas, I think they'll punish them.
The big paycheck that we give you to come onto the Daily Football Podcast is now at stake. So I want a prediction for both games from you. Quick fire round. Lee Miller, who wins tonight at Dines Park?
I think Dundee sneak it, to be honest. I'm going to use a lot of Aberdeen fans, but I think Dundee sneak it. They're so organised and hard to beat at Dines Park. I think it's a narrow victory for Dundee.
Stephen?
I've gone for a draw. I think just Peter Leven going back in there. I think the positivity, he knows the players and he'll set them up, and I don't think they'll lose. And as Lee said, Dundee having such a strong season, I think it'll be a really tight fought 1-1 draw.
And shift your focus up the A9, who wins in Dingwall?
Hibs.
Yeah, I think Hibs will be strong. They're good going forward, like Stephen says there. I think Ross County, I think Don Kell will do a really good job up there, and he's a really good manager. He's assured and understands and knows what he wants from his players, but I don't think he's got the calibre of player that Hibs have got just now.
You're listening to the Scottish Football Podcast.
Before we go, the Scotland squad for the forthcoming friendlies against the Netherlands and Northern Ireland has of course been announced. Steve Clarke's smiling face all across the back pages this morning. Well, his face is all across the back pages this morning. The biggest headline, the return of the 41-year-old Craig Gordon. Lee, are you slightly concerned that there's a narrative building with Scotland going to the Euros that, when I look at that squad that was announced, we have more goalkeepers in it than we have strikers? Now, it may be somebody pointed out Ryan Christie is down as a midfielder in this squad when in the past he's been as a forward, but just three front men in a squad this close to the Euros? Is that something we should be concerned about?
I think it's just that's the main talking point is the goalkeepers, obviously. And I think because Craig has been such an amazing goalkeeper over the years, it has to involve him. And it'd be so unfair to drop one of the other three out of the squad. I've never seen 4 goalkeepers going to a squad, going to 2 friendlies. But it's a hell of a decision to be made, and I would not like to be Steve Clarke in that situation, because obviously one of those 4 is going to miss out and going to lose out in a place which is gutting, because they've all been part of it over the past year or so, and it's such a tight-knit squad as well. But no, it doesn't worry me about the striking situation up top, because we have got such a strong squad throughout, and we normally just play with one striker anyway. I don't think that's an issue, and I think for me, Shanklin has to start. He has to play. He's the informed striker, and he knows where the back of the net is. You give him half a chance, he'll score. So it'll be interesting to see his lineups in these next 2 games. He'll try and experiment a little bit. He doesn't go too far away from what he's thinking. But the goalkeeping situation is it's an interesting one for him, and it'll be mind-boggling, as we say.
And another day of speculation with Lewis Ferguson linking him with big moves in Italian football. Do you see him starting one of these friendlies, maybe in the Callum McGregor role, now that he's out?
It was said before the last meet-up that he's so unfortunate, Lewis Ferguson, in terms of how competitive that area of the pitch is. Even Scott McTominay, I think sometimes you don't appreciate the level of player he keeps out the team, and every time he gets put out the team at Man United, he gets back in. If Christian Eriksen was having a season Scott McTominay was having, we'd be raving about him and saying how well he's doing and how important he's been for Man United. So it's a really competitive area of the park. But I would think with Callum McGregor, he's been so patient, Lewis Ferguson. He can't physically, I think him and Lon Shanklin can't do any more to break into the Scotland team. They're having unbelievable seasons. And Steve Clarke's so loyal. He is so loyal. I mean, you know the formation he's going to pick. You know the probably 8 or 9 players he's going to pick for that Germany game. And on that, I mean, we don't play wingers. And within the squad announcement, like I would associate Brother John and Ryan Christie as forward players within the system. Like it'd be very unusual for them to play in the deeper roles within midfield. So they're almost our kind of winger type forwards. So I mean, Lewis Ferguson, it's just amazing what he's doing. When I was brought up in the 90s, the Italian league was what the English Premiership is now, and it's almost you always have it in that pedestal because it's the first big league. You remember all the great players, and to see what he's doing at that level is just amazing. And as I say, can't do any more to be on the plane.
Stephen, you're getting us nostalgic now, thinking back to Sunday afternoons with the smell of roast beef wafting through the kitchen as we watch a 0-0 in Serie A on Channel 4. Before I go, because time is running out, do you both like a conspiracy theory?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Right, here's one. So, you know, in rugby, we've moved in the last 10 years or so with players who are sitting on the bench who can cover 2 or 3 positions, like Blair Kinghorn. He can come off from fullback and he can go in at number 10. There's a conspiracy theory that Craig Gordon has actually been out for such a long time learning how to play as a number 9. So when he comes in, not only can he be between the sticks, but he can actually lead the line up front. I'll leave that one with you, whether it's true or not, whether I've just completely made that up. I'll leave that up to you. But Lee Miller, I see a glint in your eye, so you've heard that conspiracy theory as well. So let's start that here, shall we? Guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Lee Miller and Steve McGinn. Great to have your company as always. I'll be back tomorrow with probably more conspiracy theories that Lee Miller and Steve McGinn has been thinking up for us. Bright and early as ever. Tomorrow's guests, Ian McCall and Jordan Campbell. More championship chat. And of course, we have a big match to look ahead to at Ibrox, Rangers against Benfica. Man, there's never a quiet day in this world of Scottish football. For now, though, enjoy your football tonight. It's live on Sports Sound, the 2 Premiership matches. And we'll speak again soon.
For everything you need to know about your team this season, download the BBC Sport app. All the latest news, goal updates, stats and scores, and insight and analysis. Just select your club to get the biggest stories and best content at your fingertips. What a result. Download the BBC Sport app for everything you need to know about your team this season.